I'm Michelle from Legal Suite, and in this webinar we are going to discuss adding entities, types and roles to the address book. Right, now this can be achieved in one of two ways. We can either go to the Setup drop-down menu, scroll down to Types, Entities and Roles, and there you can see your entity, party type and party role. Alternatively, you can do this on the fly via the address book, and that is the option that I'm going to use for the purposes of this video. Right, so in the address book, let's say you're capturing and you realize that the entity type or role that you need is not on the list. You can simply add it as you go. So from the insert screen, you will notice an ellipse button next to each of the drop downs. So if I click on the drop down, there is the list available, and if I click on the ellipse button, here is the adding screen where you can add a new entity, and you will notice that these buttons are available at each of these options. Right, so I'm going to add a new entity, and I am going to call it, for the purposes of this, test. So I click on the insert button and entity will be added screen appears. Now we need to categorize our entity. Is it a natural person? Is it a juristic entity? If it is a juristic entity, what type of entity is it? So if it were a natural person, I would select person. If it were a business, I would select business and put a tick on the juristic entity box. For the purposes of this, I'm going to use person and I'm going to call it test. Right, so at description I insert test, and at language it's very important that you insert both English and Afrikaans variants, even if you're not drafting in English. So in here I'm going to right click and click on insert, and at Afrikaans I'm going to put in toets, and I'm going to do the same and insert for the English language. Right, there we go. At FICA compliance, you can then insert all the various items that are required for this entity in terms of FICA. The FICA module is a standalone module, and please do have a look at our webinar on the functionality and setup. So once you've completed your entry, you can click on OK and it will be added to the list. If we close the screen, click on the drop down, we just need to refresh the screen. So if I close it and insert again, at entity, my new little entry will appear on the list. And the exact same principle is true at type. If I click on the ellipse button, my party type's available to me. Click on the insert button, and again, I will select what category this type is. I'm going to use person. At description, I'm going to insert test. If I say OK, it is now on the list. Again, I would just need to refresh the screen, and at type, I now have a new type available to me. At the role, we would click on the ellipse button, and in our party roles, we can click on insert. So once again, we would put in the description, and as with entity, we would need to insert this by right-clicking for both the English and the Afrikaans language. So let's insert toets, oopsie. And once again for the English language. Right, there we go. Now, if you have any extra screens that you wish to attach to this particular party role, once again, FICA for the standalone and Legal Suite Online. And again, for FICA and Legal Suite Online, please do have a look at our webinars on that. Say OK. Test is now added to the list. If I close and insert again to refresh and click on my roles, scroll down to the T's, and you will see that my new role is there. So please go ahead and add your entities, types and roles as you require.